Well, hey everybody. It's Tea Talks time, and I am here with coffee from down the road. Does that mean I'm cheating on today's Tea Talks? I feel like I'm failing you. I've let you down. There is no tea. There's an oat milk latte. That's what I've got. What do you have? Go ahead and put in the chat your morning beverage of choice. Even if you're watching this replay at night, go ahead and share with me. Are you drinking tea? Are you drinking coffee? Are you drinking water? What is your morning beverage? And if you are on the replay, just give me a hashtag replay. Just say hashtag REPLAY. Then I know you're watching the replay. If you're watching it live, you can just put in just the name of your beverage. I'm going to take a sip of my now cooling down oat milk latte. I'm usually a tea girl in the morning, but today I needed some coffee, apparently. Celebrated a friend's birthday last night, and I actually didn't stay out that late. I think I was in bed and asleep by 9:30. I'm like, whoa, I'm really tired. 12 hours later after 10 hours of sleeping. I don't know, I've needed a lot of sleep lately. Have you been like that? Have you been needing extra sleep? I feel like that happens to me when I am like upgrading, getting major downloads, making big changes and adjustments. I don't know if you have that experience as well. So just hanging out to see a couple of comments. I'm just going to do a quick hello. Sometimes the comments show up for me better after I do them. I'm hoping you guys share to your groups. No, I don't want to share this in my groups. Thanks for your helpful suggestion, Facebook. I just want to see the comments. All right, so we might have a little weird noise. Hang with me. I'm just going to check. Yes, awesome. Yes, needing more sleep. I am now seeing your comments. Sometimes they're delayed at the beginning, and I'm like, well, I don't want to talk if y'all can't hear me. So, love it. Theta healing, morning protein shakes, protein shakes. That's exciting. And Sally's first tea talk. All right, well, we are talking about self-sabotage. Such a great topic. I remember learning about this I had a great English teacher in high school, and she was talking about Oedipus. We were studying the book Oedipus, and that was the first time I really learned the concept of self-sabotage. Was from my English teacher, and wow, was I very good at it. And I know this is probably an area you have some deep talents as well. There's two kinds of self-sabotage I want to talk about. I want to talk about 6 sneaky little self-sabotage things we do, but it's really important to know that sabotage comes when we spoil our own success. Sometimes we're conscious of it. We're like, oh, I'm doing that thing again. I know I always do that thing. And the very first act of self-sabotage that I realized was, like I said, with Miss Hawkinson, who was my English teacher in high school. And I realized what I did was I would wait until the night before a paper was due, sometimes the morning it was due, and I would put very little effort in. And my thought behind this was, if I get an A, great, it'll just be bonus. But if I get a C or if I fail, it's not like I will have worked that hard. I won't hurt my own feelings. If I worked on this paper, I remember working on this paper, it was on green eggs and ham. And I worked on this paper for like 6 months. And I don't remember if it was C or an F, but they felt the same to me. I was sort of a nerd. It was some terrible grade that wasn't an A. And it was so painful because I'd worked on it so hard and so long. So I'm like, if I don't really work on this paper, the grade doesn't really matter. And that was how I sabotaged myself. That was like the first way I identified that. And I became, in that class, conscious of it. So you may have sabotage techniques, ways that you know you play small, that you know about yourself. And those are a problem. It's a problem. We might talk about it a little bit today, but the ones I want to talk about are the sneaky mother effers, the ones that you don't even know you're doing. It doesn't feel like you're doing it. And it's almost like you're rejecting yourself in advance so no one else can do it to protect yourself. But you're unconsciously or subconsciously protecting yourself. You're not even conscious of it. And that's what makes it so sneaky, because how the heck can you fix something that you are not even aware of? So that's what I want to talk about today. And before we jump into these 6 sneaky little signs of self-sabotage, I want to talk about why it's important. What was the phrase? One of my coaches said, oh, you're on to yourself. I had another coach who said, do you know what your racket is? Right? One of the reasons why this is such a beneficial lesson and thing to spend time on and to talk to other people about and to work with coaches on is you can't see what you can't see. But once it's pointed out to you, like the way I had that conversation in high school with Mrs. Hawkinson, once that's pointed out to you, then you can't not see it. That's the upside, right? You're like, oh, okay, here I am doing that thing again. So you want to be on to yourself. You want to know your racket, because self-sabotage is what's going to block the flow of abundance. Self-sabotage is going to block the flow of impact that you make in the world. You won't exactly know why, but you won't be getting invitations to speak. You might be in a group of 6 people that did a Zoom get together, and you'll notice one other person who seems fine. She seems as smart as you. Like, you don't have an issue with her. But everyone's like, you're so amazing. Will you be on my podcast? And you're like, why is everyone so into her and they're not into me? Has that ever happened to you? And you're like, well, am I not seeing it? I mean, there's nothing like wrong with her, but why is everyone inviting her to their thing? So you're blocking yourself. Those are just little indicators. You can see it because you're trying to get your own attention. You are blocking yourself from getting those opportunities. Not because of something you're wearing, not because of something you're doing, not because of your Zoom angle. And what do we do when we start to see other people have things? Martha Beck calls this compare and despair. So someone who did your coaching program with you just announced she had $100,000 a year. Somebody who you were in a mastermind group with is invited to speak at some big conference or invited to Brene Brown's podcast. So you see these things happen, right? And that moment is actually the opportunity to go in and find out how you're self-sabotaging. But what do we do instead? Does anyone have any guesses? You can put them in the chat. We buy things. That's what we do. We're like, well, she had whatever, a pink shirt on. I'm going to buy a pink shirt. I think she did that Instagram class. I'm going to buy that Instagram class. We think it's on the outside. So we buy funnels. We buy anything that people are selling. We do everything but this deep work of identifying the self-sabotage. But when you have one of those moments where you're like, wait, why does she have that and I don't? Remember this training today, that what that is a calling. So I promise you that's going to come up. You're going to get the calling. Why does she have that and I don't? Why is her business there and mine isn't? Why is this easy for her? By the way, it's probably not. You get that calling, And the challenge is buy nothing. Isn't that like some movement, the buy nothing movement? Be present with that feeling. So if you have a coach already, fantastic time to go to your coach. But don't buy a product, don't buy a shirt, don't buy something to make that feeling stop. The feeling is there for you to feel it and to be able to see. Is this where my blind spot is? To be able to see a little into your blind spot. It's like going like this, and then you're like, ooh. And then you can turn and look at it. And so that's what I want to help you with today. Fair? Sound good? You with me? Awesome. Very cool. So here is the deal. I pulled out 6 things that I see, and I've actually already shared with you. 6 things that I see people doing. And the first and the biggest is buying something new. One of the ways that I see people sabotage the most, and even people who have invested tens of thousands of dollars to work with me, I will see I give them work to do. The work feels hard, so they buy something else. And I promise you, if you have a business coach, it would be like, I love weight loss metaphors. It would be like if you signed up for Jenny Craig and you were finding it hard to do Jenny Craig. So 2 weeks in, you signed up for Weight Watchers. And then that was tricky. So 2 weeks in, you signed up for Beachbody. And then that felt tricky. So 2 weeks in, but you were still going to the Jenny Craig meetings and you're still going to the Weight Watchers meetings. And now you've added Beachbody and Nutrisystem. They're not that different. I'm so sorry to tell you. Every diet includes keep a food log, eat less than 1,500 calories. Some are going to tell you eat lots of fat. Some are going to tell you eat no fat. But at the end of the day, it's eat less, exercise more. And watch what you're eating. And then track your emotions. And eat some salad. It's good for you. And get 8 hours of sleep. Like, that's really all they are. And doing 4 of them at once doesn't make you more likely to succeed. It makes you less likely to succeed. Do you get that? So I will see my clients get frustrated with, me telling them don't have a website till you make $100,000, so they hire someone to make a website because they just want the pain to go away. The pain doesn't go away by buying something. The pain goes away by doing the work. That's how the pain goes away. Okay? That is motivation number 1, and most people don't see it. It looks like they give themselves pats on the back and they're like, I'm so brave, I'm investing in my business. Sometimes, but sometimes we invest to hide. So that could be what's trying to get your attention. The next one, I'm going to give women extra points for because we are so good at it, is not just procrastinating. That's one that's kind of in the open. Most of us know we're procrastinating. It's the magic of beating yourself up over procrastinating and believing it. So here's the number 1 way that my clients use procrastination to self-sabotage is this phrase. Write it down and then promise yourself you'll never say it again. It's the worst, most dangerous, upsetting, horrible, self-sabotaging phrase my clients say, and I hear it probably once a day. Here it is. You ready? I'm behind. Behind what? Who? Is there some timekeeper that I haven't been introduced to? Angela, you're 48. You're behind. You're supposed to be at 1.2 million net worth. Who are we behind? What the fuck is that saying? Who told you you were behind? Where does that come from? School? I don't know where this phrase comes from. I don't know where this phrase comes from, but it is the most self-harming phrase. And again, it's done with this lack of consciousness because y'all believe it. Y'all believe it. I promise you, it is not possible to be behind. Here's how I know that. This is the way things were always supposed to go. How do I know this is the way things were always supposed to go? This is how they went. As far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, there is no motherfucking time machine. So we can't go back in time. So there's no benefit to saying, I should have done this 2 weeks ago. You can't. How much time would you like to spend on that? You can't go back to 2 weeks ago. So you're obviously, logically, exactly where you were supposed to be. You can't be somewhere else. It is not possible. You defy the laws of physics to be behind. You are where you are. That is a fact. Now what do you want to do about it? And if your choice is lament the fact I didn't do things 2 weeks ago, then there's some sort of IQ problem. There's no upside. None whatsoever. All right, so my sneaky number 1 is you buy shit. My sneaky number 2 is you buy into a bullshit story of I'm behind. And if you learn one thing from today's Tea Talk, it is to eliminate that from your thought system. You are not behind. You're where you are. You can judge it or not judge it, but there's no upside to judging it. So you're where you are, make a plan. That's it. You're just where you are. There's no behind. There's no ahead. You're just where you are. Make a decision. All right. My next one is... where do I want to go with next? I have my list in front of me. I want to talk about motivation. Motivation is what a lot of people are waiting for. Now, in the spiritual world, a lot of times it's like, the spirit hasn't moved me. I'm waiting for source to tell me what to do. I'm waiting for outside. So this is the thing. There is an intrinsic motivation for sure. Sometimes you're just into something. But sometimes we have to do it in order to get the motivation. In AA, they call this fake it till you make it. You guys have heard that phrase. So the idea of motivation being something that a light that is shown upon you, like, there it is, there's my motivation, that it comes from outside, is very nice, but waiting for the spirit to move you is very dangerous. And I think it's privileged, and I think it's a misunderstanding of how source works. But a lot of times I find spiritual entrepreneurs will use that as an excuse to sabotage. Here's how it shows up. If you've done sales calls, you've heard it too. If it's meant to be, money will just show up for me. Okay, maybe. But that's a lame ass fucking excuse. The rest of us work for it. So motivation is very nice when it happens from outside, but sometimes we have to set a goal, identify the work, and then do it. And again, I'm going to go back to weight loss here. So sometimes you just are in the zone where you want to work out and eat healthy all the time. And it's just like rolling. You're loving chopping the vegetables. You're loving going to the gym. You bought a cute pair of sneakers. And sometimes you have to do it because you know it's the right thing to do. You have to take action. Even if the spirit isn't moving you to go to the gym this morning, you have to go because you know the consequence of not going is more. So sometimes we rely on our spiritual intuition or our spiritual guidance, which is great and important, but then we drop the co-creation part. We outsource that motivation to someone else. So this one's a hard one to find the balance for you, but here's how you know if you're using that spirit hasn't moved me as a way to stay in touch with your truth and your center and your core, and if you're using it for self-sabotage. And that is the things I tipped you off at the beginning. Are you getting invitations to speak or share? Are you getting opportunities to shine? Are people calling on you to do things? Are you feeling like they would have picked me if I was cuter, younger, skinnier, whiter, blacker, taller, shorter? Like, if you are doing that dance and you're someone who says all the time, I'm waiting for a spirit to move me, newsflash, you are probably using that I'm waiting for the motivation as self-sabotage. And I want to say with that too, willpower doesn't work. So I'm not saying like white knuckle it, grit your teeth, and every day for 3 years force yourself to eat 800 calories and work out 5 times a day as if you were a contestant on The Biggest Loser. That's not my point. Willpower does not work. But just waiting for motivation can be self-sabotage for this external motivation. So it's a balance there. It's a dance, but you got to at least try to take action and then listen for what the obstacles are. Don't push it off on God. It's not his responsibility. Okay, next one I want to share with you, because we're getting close to the end of time and I have 2 more to go. So next one I want to share with you is imposter syndrome. Y'all like this story so much. Imposter syndrome. Everyone's like, oh, I don't know. I feel like, who am I to write a book? Who am I to do this? It's very Scarlett O'Hara, the drama of it all. Who am I to do this? First of all, just so you know, what you're looking for is for everyone to tell you you're awesome. What do you mean? No, you're totally awesome. Okay, fuck that shit. Here is the definitive answer to imposter syndrome. Don't do anything that you're an imposter on. Just don't be a fucking imposter, and then you don't have this problem. Limit your scope. My mantra is do less better. And if imposter syndrome is coming up, know it's coming up for a reason. You're trying to get your own attention. You're doing something out of integrity. Don't work on fixing the imposter syndrome. Just stop being an imposter. Figure out the way in which you're being an imposter and stop that shit. It's not everything. And I can prove this to you. You know, like, let's say you work with people on weight loss. And just because we're going to use that metaphor all day today, I guess. You work with people on weight loss and you're like, I don't know if I should. I gained 5 pounds, so now I feel like an imposter. Well, what about weight loss don't you feel like an imposter on? Are you confident that you have the right recipes, even if you're not always eating them? Great, teach the recipes. Are you confident about your exercise routine? Great, do that. One of my authors, really good friends, Jill Angie, does Not Your Average Runner. So Jill is over 200 pounds. She's a plus size runner, and she knows a lot about weight loss. We've lost and gained a lot of weight together, in fact. And sometimes Jill even coaches on weight loss because she's actually a great weight loss coach. She's not the skinniest weight loss coach out there, but what she is 100% the best in the world at is being a running coach. And she has no doubt about those skills. So she started just teaching weight loss or teaching weight loss for runners. She would probably feel like an imposter because she's not good at that. So I think if you are getting the conscious idea that I'm an imposter, the subconscious way you sabotage yourself is you try and fix the imposter syndrome, usually by getting a certificate. See reason 1, don't buy anything. But really what you should do is just stop being an imposter. Make it conscious. What are you consciously being an imposter about? And fix that. All right, next one, shiny object syndrome. Who's guilty? Raise your hands in the chat. Who knows what I mean by shiny object syndrome? New idea? Go chase it. All right, listen, all my advice for that is in the book Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. It's in my top 10 favorites. Wow, she does a great job on that for writers and the real magic of creation. Love that book, so I won't say too much, but the story, I have lots of interests, is a little bit of a self-sabotage cover. That's what makes it so sneaky, and you'll get a lot of support. Yep, you're just one of those people with lots of interests. What I think is happening there, the sneaky unconscious part of that, is if I don't make a commitment, then I won't be held accountable. Yes? Anybody need to go watch Runaway Bride this week? When's the last time you saw Runaway Bride? Wake up early Sunday morning and watch it. This is a subconscious or unconscious fear of commitment. Consciously, what do we call it? Shiny object syndrome. It's so cute. But what's really happening there is a fear of commitment, a fear of sticking to something. All right, my last little sneaky I'm going to give you guys is something we talked about at the beginning, which is compare and despair. That's the outer one. That's the one you notice. How come she's got it and I don't? But what's the sneaky one? What's the self-sabotage under compare and despair? It's this deep-seated self-cynicism. What if I secretly really suck? What if I'm actually not good enough? And that's the one I'm going to leave you on. At the bottom of all sneaky self-sabotage is the idea that if anyone found out, at the bottom of all of this is a person who's truly subpar. I'm just not actually good enough for you, for the world, for each other. It's this deep-seated self-cynicism that's at the core of everything. And what I want you to know about that is that it is such an insult to everyone else when you say that about yourself. And here's why. When you have the thought, when you have the belief, I should say, that at the bottom, if you peel off enough levels, I think we're going to find out that I'm really just not good enough. That means the same is possible for me. And the truth is, just by being human, you have to be good enough for something. Maybe not the thing you're doing, right? We talked about self-sabotage, imposter syndrome, so don't be an imposter. But the not good enough thing and dwelling in that does harm to everyone else. And that's why the poem by our coach, Marianne Williamson, is so powerful. You're going to hear this. I'm going to share this with you. You've probably heard it, but I want you to listen to it again in the context of these sneaky ways that we self-sabotage. So here we go. Marianne Williamson's most famous quote from her book, A Return to Love. Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens ourselves. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And that is why it's so important to be onto yourself with these sneaky self-sabotage. And this is how you get onto yourself. You see these sneaky signs of self-sabotage. They look real, they're conscious, and then you say, what's under it? Imposter syndrome? Wait a minute. What am I good enough at? Compare and despair? What's under it? cynicism that I'm not good enough. Wait, how could that be? If I'm not good enough, that means other people aren't. Then humanity isn't good enough. Then should we just all go kill ourselves? We obviously, by definition, it is everyone's birthright to shine. Every single one of us. We are all special, and none of us are special. Right? And that is a message of A Course in Miracles. So, one of the ways we give others permission to shine is by stepping into our authority as an author. So, when I coach people, they think we're just going to talk about the words on the page, and we will, for sure. It's not just about the words on the page. It's about having your blind spot. I try and make your blind spot show up for you. You may not like me for that. If you're one of my clients or former clients, you could be like, yes, I hated you when that happened. But if we can get those sneaky signs to show themselves, we can find the real self-sabotage and smash it. Because that's how we help others shine. So if you want my help with that, you want to write a book, create an online course, create a podcast, step into that power and shine so that you can help others shine, head over to theauthorincubator.com/apply. That's theauthorincubator.com/apply. I would love to talk to you about your book and the difference that you were born to make. It's possible. We can catch these sneaky signs of self-sabotage, and you can shine the light you were always meant to shine. That's my lesson for this morning. I hope you learned something. I have one favor to ask. Please put in the comments, what did you like? What did you learn? What did you love? Share it, and if you're watching it on the replay, #replay. Invite your friends, please, to join the Difference Makers Club. They can go to differencemakersclub.com. And when you're ready to write your book, head on over to theauthorincubator.com/apply. And let's get the process started to get your book out in the world and making a difference. Have a great day, everyone.